Hi everyone, how are you doing? I was gonna continue painting this Harpooner, and I think we might be able to finish him today, actually. So this is the progress so far. The skin is looking a little bit shiny, but we'll dull that down with some matte varnish later. I think I didn't shake the wash enough that I used earlier. Like the shadows are a little shiny. And when we left off last time, I was painting the shark teeth. So I thought I'd finish up that now. And like the last layer was painted using Rakarth Flesh from Citadel. And I'm now mixing in some Citadel Wraithbone to highlight this further. And I'll start with this huge tooth. Painting highlights in lines. And I've noticed I had my second COVID vaccine today, and I noticed my hands aren't quite as steady as they usually are. But otherwise I'm feeling fine, just a little tired. But this means that I might paint a little slower today, because I'm not quite as precise as usual. Otherwise, not really any side effects. Like I'm a little tired, but that might just be bad sleep too. Hi, JKKB. How are you doing? I'm gonna highlight the underside. Yeah, I am a little bit shaky. If you have shaky hands, I guess the best methods to try and counteract this is to steady them against something. So often I have my hand a bit up into the air, but I guess I'll rest it towards the surface right now. And as I paint these lines, I realized maybe I should do it the other way around. Like I started painting them at the top and pulled downwards. What I really should be doing is probably start where I want the highlight to finish, like here, and paint outwards. And this is because I want it brightest at the tip of the tooth. And as you pull the paint with your brush, the most paint will usually end up at the end of your brush stroke. So that is something I'll keep in mind while doing the rest of the highlights here. Play Weird asks, has everyone seen the announcement for this year's Nightmare box? And I quite like it. It's cool. I like that it continues the nautical theme of Pirate Molly. And I especially like the little cute, I'm going to call, I don't remember what they call, but I'll call them fish tots. They're really cute. JKKB, it looked great. I'm just annoyed that it's not a master I play. Trenchlings. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not a master I play either, but I mean, it could become. We'll see. I haven't really touched Neverborn in third, though I did play them a bunch in second. Trenchlings. Yeah, that's a good, pretty good name for them. And I like the totem. I think moray eels are just so cool. Did you know moray eels actually have these, like they have an extra set of jaws, like the xenomorph from Alien, that they can like shoot out. That is just disturbing and cool. Today's animal fact, I guess. Oh, got this Mario Kart tune on my head. It's like this really repetitive. And that's like the whole tune. It just repeats. I'll try not hum that tune too much. Don't want you to be dragged down into Mario Kart hell with me. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to be available at Gen Con other than those. And that is a really cool Nightmare set. I know some reacted to it being like, but why do they have fly? They're like fish people. And to me, it's like, well, I don't know. It's fantasy. I guess I'm just used to the idea of that. Because they did the same thing in Age of Sigmar with, or not the same thing, but like, God, water creatures flying around there. So I'm like, yeah, seen that before. It works. It's fantasy. Maybe some ethereal sea. Are you painting anything cool currently, JKKB? I wonder if that's how you should say your nickname, JKKB or Jakub. I don't know. Probably the first one, right? Okay. So let's go over that again with some pure Wraithbone. Trying to find motivation to finish Jedsank Company. Yeah. Like I've undercoded mine and that's how far I've gotten. Like they're beautiful molds though. So I'm looking forward to painting them. And go with that. Go with what sounds best. I don't think no one knows how to pronounce it, me included. Ah, okay. Makes sense. JKKB. So did you think of a color scheme for them? Ah, I got some beige paint on its head. Oh, his poor scalp. That was a bit clumsy of me. Whoopsie. Mistakes were made. I have to rectify this. Wasn't quick enough, but like if you do that, you can just, if you're quick enough, you can remove it with some, like a clean brush with some paint on it. But I was not that quick. With some paint on it, I meant with some water on it. Maybe this is the effect of the vaccine on me. I'm gonna say like the wrong word even more often than usual. Because I often mix up words. Like I say one thing, I mean the other. Okay. Pure Wraithbone, trying to not paint his scalp with it this time. I did settle on a kind of tealish color for most of the cloth. Yeah, like the artwork's got some teal on it, and I really like that. And I bet I'm thinking if I want to do the same or like go with something different just to be different. But teal, I just love teal. Duh. Obviously. I guess I could do like could do teal as a complementary color, then do most of the cloth and like something that works well with that. Could flip it a little bit. Highlighting the middle of the shark teeth, the little ones. I feel like that's where it's going to be the brightest. So shark teeth, unless I remember incorrectly, they don't stick to the skull, right? I think they just stick to the meat. I don't know. This is probably not relevant to paint this, but I'm just speaking out loud about sharks because sharks are cool. Going over these lines again with thin-ish lines of wraithbone. Yeah. Go. Oops. A little bit of dried paint there. Don't want that. Like I didn't Google shark teeth or anything to get this realistic, but like it's Malifaux, so whatever. Just doing what I think looks good. And I think we're gonna push it even further using some pure white. I'm going over the same areas, but being very like selective with our highlights. Want this to look rugged. I mean, like he's using them as shoulder plates or trophies, so they're gonna have seen battle, right? So thinking that'll be a bit jagged in the edges. We're doing a few dots along the edges of the teeth like this. Also making them look a bit jagged, but also a bit sharp. Now we just need crabs in Malva, right? Crabs are kind of the coolest. Or octopuses the coolest? I don't know. Crabs or octopus? Which one's the coolest? Oh God. That is not how you paint teeth on a mini. Just blotched white paint there. Come on. I'm so tiny. Like he's got his teeth mashed together, right? I think. Showing his teeth. Okay. That looks good enough. Maybe a little bit of a highlight, like here towards the bottom. Could look good. Personally, I say octopus, but it depends. Is the crab a hermit crab? Yeah, sure. Can be. JKKB octopus, the more arms the better, right? Yeah, maybe, I guess. In a lot of situations. Though some people say that crab is like the ultimate form. Sitkin, you got your food. You got your food, kitty. Okay, so I'm gonna paint the loincloth. And I'll do this with Reaper Brion Blue, which is a kind of dark, somewhat like it's not the most saturated blue ever, but it's still got some saturation. I think it's a kind of nice color. Should be quite similar to the blue top we painted on the female harpooner. Although I did go mixing paints like crazy when doing that one. Like A difference between Reaper and Citadel paints is that Reaper paints are quite matte. Citadel paints have this satin finish, like between gloss and matte. And this can be a problem if you don't want to varnish your models, but you can pull down the satin and like make colors look a bit similar if you use a matte varnish. Katie walking there on the table making the camera shake. But if you, there's also like, I suppose something I don't think about a lot is that, or I do think about it a bit, that the finish of the paint, whether it's satin or matte or glossy, that is something you can work with too when it comes to like what material you want to convey. We do that a lot with the painting, like how we paint stuff, the texture and how much we highlight it, but you can also use varnish to reinforce that. So you could varnish different areas with different varnishes if you want to. Might not be worth it, might not be something you want to care about, but it's something you can use. Or you could just not varnish anything at all, of course. But like I tend to like to wash or varnish like bottles and lenses with gloss varnish at times. And metals might look a bit boring if you do a matte varnish. Depends. So whilst the blue is drying, as you can see, it's very matte compared to the other colors. It looks very flat. So whilst that is drying, we are using some dried bark to highlight the shoes. But like this looks a little weird, but when I varnish the model, the loincloth will look better compared, like in more in harmony with the rest of the mini, to give it like the same finish. So I'm highlighting the leather boots with dried bark, and I'm doing it in like blotchy spots almost, so as to make the boots look plenty worn, like they got some texture. Over brushing this area so we'll get to touch the raised edges, but don't highlight the creases. And then we're not gonna highlight the underside much, but I'm doing an edge highlight along the edge of the boot, the cuff, the rim, the whatever. There's some sort of edge here on the front. So I heard about Waldo's wheel in that other stream, and I didn't get to watch it, but I'll be sure to rewatch it on Weird's YouTube channel. Seemed like a lot of fun. introducing some chaos in the painting streams. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of Rakarth flesh to the dried bark, was what we used. Doing highlights, there's little stripes and dots to both highlight but also continue adding some texture to these leather boots. I feel like he's been using them for quite some time. So we'll do a few thin lines like this. So I'm a little unsure if we made the right decision painting the trousers in this very emerald green teal color, because maybe the eye is drawn too much to like his pants now. But we did highlight the eye patch part, like banana thingy, a little bit extra, so that helps draw attention to the face. So I made a few test bases, like they're not complete, or I made a few bases where I wanted like a depressing looking beach sort of, and they're not done just yet. Then I noticed that these guys are on 40s, so I can't use these because I made 30mm bases, so I'll have to do a couple more. It's not the first time I accidentally give someone a 30mm base. At least I didn't glue these on yet. Anna, you done anything similar? I guess if I get some mechanists to paint, I might do them on the same basis, like all the EVS stuff. So then I can use those bases. So it's not that much of a loss, really. Yeah, thanks for the subscription, Anna. I didn't see that graphics pop up. Nice to have you follow. You're watching the stream now? In that case, how are you? Trying to build up this leather. Thinking they've seen a lot of wear and tear when Timothy has been out on the ocean. Guslaudo named him Tiny Tim, which means I might just call him Timothy. When I want it to be a bit fancy. This little part annoyed me, using some black paint to outline that, ring it apart from the skin a little bit more. So Rakarth Flesh, I feel, is a very flexible color, like a light beige. It's nice to mix in with a lot of things to create highlights, I find. This with a lot of like duller tones. More drab looking stuff. So I've been eyeing the EVS stuff, and gotta say, it feels like a really fun crew to play. Very tricksy. I feel like you need to put a lot of thought into playing it, which is a lot of fun, I find. I like having these like strange masters and mechanics to try and figure out. To me, that's something that makes Malifaux really fun for me, in combination with other things, of course, but Oops, the highlight got a little bit too thick. So Gen Con, is it like the 11th of September or 12th or something? Something like that. (16th to 19th of September. Thank you. So 2 weeks left. It's almost like waiting for Christmas. Just And there's gonna be a physical Gen Con this time around, isn't there? Or is the Tyrant Tournament, I think it's called Tyrant Tournament, right? Is it online or is it at a physical event? I'm a little bit out of the loop since I live across the Atlantic, and I had like going to Gen Con for a holiday would be a lot of fun, but we'll see. It's not something I've done. As an elf in that analogy, it seems apt. Yeah, that was great. It's a physical one. Yeah, okay, cool. That's nice. Got my first physical Malifaux tournament in a very long time in October, which I'm really excited about. And I was gonna bring Explorers because new shiny. Not entirely sure if I'm nailing this leather look, but hey, practice is good. We're getting practice. Hello, Wasabi Paste. Thanks for the heart. How are you doing? And now I want wasabi fries, said Playword. Shit, I didn't even know that was a thing. Wasabi fries? See, I like wasabi, but it gives me, like, is there a term for this? Like, you got brain freeze, and then you got, like, if I eat wasabi, it's like someone punches me in the nose. Sort of. I'm all good. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. Little bit tired from the vaccine, maybe, or from just sometimes I'm just tired, I guess. So it's difficult to know. But I had my second shot today. I think maybe we'll move on from these shoes. And the reason I didn't paint all the leather immediately was that I was thinking maybe I'll paint the leather belts and straps in a different color. Wasabi Paste, that paint job is fire, looking really good. Thanks! That's really nice to hear. I'm glad you like it. I almost feel like he's like wearing his finest pants and everyone's gonna make fun of him for wearing such colorful pants, but it's a nice color. Using some brown blue that we used earlier for the loincloth, I thought we'd mix that with some black and shade the loincloth. Some thin lines like this and probably a bit like this. Yeah, because there's like it goes outward up here, and then this part should be more in shadow. Same deal here. Got lines of shading. And this middle part in a little bit of shadow. Wasabi Paste Teal is such a great color, great contrast against the skin. Yeah, thanks. It really kind of pops, doesn't it? And it also kind of reinforces the whole sea theme, I feel. Since the sea can be a bit green too. I did use a lot of teal while I was painting my Neverborn stuff. Because it can also look a bit spooky. Out of curiosity, how long have you been painting for? I think I painted my first miniatures when I was 12 or something. But then, so it's like 21 years of painting since I'm 33 now. Although I will say there have been a bunch of years there where I didn't paint much. Like had some teenage years where I mostly played video games and only painted a few miniatures a year, I think. But yeah, so like 20 plus years actually. It's a pretty long time. Was not very good at the beginning, but that's not strange, is it? And nowadays we got a lot more, now I feel old, but nowadays we got a lot more great resources and how to learn different techniques and stuff. So I feel like if I started painting now, I'd get better more quickly, even though I was if I was like 12, probably. Yeah, it's just a guess, but now I feel like some old crone, or not crone. Let's not go that far. Old lady speaking about the olden days. Kind of want to sit in an armchair, smoking a pipe. Maybe I need a fake beard too. Speaking about the olden days. Well, that explains why it's so good. I've been playing miniature games on and off for a whole life, but always been so self-criticizing of my own work. Although for like a month ago, I just decided to go for it, and it has been really fun. I'm really glad you decided that. Like, I'm very self-critical too. And there are times where like I wake up, start Instagram, being like, sometimes I'm inspired by what other people paint, but sometimes it's just I just get very self-critical, and I'm like, I'm not that good. I couldn't pull that off, and then I feel really bad. So it can be hard, but you got to try and be nice to yourself, and like not every miniature can be your best work. I know some people say like push it, try and outdo yourself every time, but I think you should also be fine with producing stuff where you're like, yeah, okay, this is fine. I could have done better, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta move on and be happy with what you've done. Like, this is good enough. Not saying you shouldn't try and improve if you want to improve, but also be kind to yourself. There's always gonna be people who make you go, oh shit, how do people do that? I wanna eat my paintbrush. I wanna throw all my miniatures away. But try and not feel that. Try and be inspired instead. Like, appreciate what you've done. I think like all painted miniatures, it's almost like a silly little saying, but like all painted miniatures are beautiful miniatures. You don't have to agree with me there, but yeah, and I think you came up on an important note there, that it's been really fun, and that helps a lot. Like, if you're having fun, you're having a good time. And for most of us, this is a hobby, and it's meant to be relaxing and fun. We don't need to be the best at everything all the time. I don't think that it's possible to feel like that all the time and still live a good life. Like, you need to be kind to yourself too. But like, having said that, it's also good to try and put yourself out there and try new things. Try new techniques, try and paint things you don't usually do. But try and have because that will help you improve, but also try and have fun whilst doing it. Sometimes you might want to put yourself out of your comfort zone, but sometimes it's also right to be in your comfort zone because it's a hobby and it's supposed to be fun. Playword, I've been working hard to not want to burn my brushes lately. I feel you. I'm the same way sometimes. Often like in the mornings when I wake up, I usually go through Instagram. Sometimes I'm inspired. Sometimes I just feel like I'm a shitty painter. And like, obviously I'm not. I wouldn't be here streaming this if I was a shitty painter. But a lot of that stuff is in our heads. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. Like, this is in my head. I have a hard time not feeling this right now. But like, this is what I'm feeling. But I should try and be kind to myself. That's what I'm thinking, at least. Now I'm being a bit of a hobby psychologist here, but yeah, don't do it. You will be upset with other two things instead. Yeah, true. Yeah, the turnover for me was getting an airbrush, actually, since I really want to try and improve myself. Imposter syndrome. I spent too much time on base coloring models and never getting to highlighting and doing the fun stuff. It's been a game changer for me. Yeah, I'm glad. I actually don't have an airbrush. I've been, until recently, I've been living in pretty small apartments, and I felt like I didn't want to get one because I've been living a bit cramped and they take up a little bit of space. I know there are little airbrush stations you can like move around more effectively, but maybe I'll get one soon. It can save you a lot of time and can help you do a lot of cool things, of course. Rich Art is now following. Thanks for the follow, Richard. How are you? I hope you're doing well this lovely Thursday. This is pretty lovely here. So quiet and sunny and like the weather's mild. He's here in Sweden. So I never really mentioned, but we started off painting this loincloth with Brion blue. I did mention that. Then we shaded it with that mixed with black. I then highlighted it with Templar blue, also from Reaper. And now I'm going over it with Ashen blue. And it's like a paint triad from Reaper. They have these trios of paints which they sell. And I don't think you should be confining yourself to always highlighting and shading with paints in the Reaper triads, but they can be very helpful if you're wondering how you should highlight a specific color. Play Weird, are you actually working on weird games? Play Weird is indeed a weird employee. Like it's the channel user, you know. Or whatchamacallit. Mixing some white into the ashen blue. Ashen blue just makes me think of Ashen One, Dark Souls stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I said currently Play Weird is Kimberly. Sometimes it can be Kyle or someone else. Wasabi Paste, shout out for making the best possible miniature game and community I've ever come across in my 20 years in the hobby. Keep it up. I have to agree. There are many good games out there, but Weird is, like Malifaux, is closest to my heart. Being all fangirl here. Why did I put out so much Ashen Blue? Just a highlight. I put too much on my wet palette. Guess I can try and use that for other things. Reaper Skin Tone Tried paints are great, really handy. Yeah, I agree, Greg Schra. Might have butchered your nickname there, but I really agree. I've got the rosy, fair, and tanned skin triads, and I've been thinking of buying more. It's just that the Reaper paints are not available in a lot of European retailers. I'm grabbing a little bit of black to do some deep shadows of this loincloth. This loincloth almost looks a little bit like a waterfall, don't you think? Just realized that. It's a little neat. You might hear some church chimes stuff right now. Actually, what is that supposed to look like? Like, I'm unsure of the, oh, it's not in the artwork. Like, he's got these sort of bracelet here. I'm not entirely sure how to paint it. What do we paint now? I think we'll paint the other kinds of leather. So, Greg Schwab, how are you doing? You having a good day? Yeah, we have a pretty great community. Love the Mali folks and weirdos. I agree. Such a good one. Where did I put that paint? I forgot to bring up the like really warm brown paint. There we go. Mornfang brown. I'm going to make some Mornfang brown with some Rhinox hide and paint some worm leather, which I forgot to bring out. There we go. Got some Rhinox hide there. Can be a lot of fun to use different browns for different parts of the leather and cloth. Of course, it does add to your total, like, time it takes to paint a miniature if you just use so many different paints. But hey, we're not in a hurry here. And obviously we want to keep this looking different to the skin color. But I think it's gonna look different enough. Could also have done like black leather. But now I think we're gonna go with pretty warm light leather here. One thing you can do, if you want to make sure that there's a lot of contrast on your miniature, you can photograph it, and using an app you can just remove all the saturation so you get a black and white photo. Just use a cell phone like filter or whatever to get a black and white photo, and then you can see like just the values, because it's easy to get fixated on the colors. We need to work with contrast too. We need to work with our values, like our dark and bright colors. Greg Gursois, not bad, thanks. Looking after a 9-month-old, so less time for painting. Makes sense. But congratulations on having a 9-year-old. That's awesome. Wait, is this supposed to be another shark tooth? Yeah, I think so. I think maybe I missed a little bit of shark tooth there. Like, there are some details where I'm not entirely sure what is a tooth and what is cloth and what is leather. I guess it doesn't matter like a ton either way, but maybe this is supposed to be another tooth or something. Just paint that in real quick. Cool. And then got to paint the underside of the boots. I'll do that real quick. There we go. Then with some pure Mornfang brown, we'll highlight these warm leather areas further. This is almost rusty brown color. concentrating on the edges of the belts. And we're doing these rough highlights. Since we're deciding his leather is going to be a little bit worn. His pants seem like they're newly washed though. So that's nice. Could dirty them down a bit if we want to. We'll see. Or put blood in them like a weirdo suggested. We put some blood on the loincloth. We'll see. Could be cool. Blood effects are like less is more, I think, a lot of the time. They can be really fun to do. And I guess with this model, it could enhance like his pretty scary look, like his snarling and being a bit scary. Like with his pose and facial expression, this guy is more like intimidating in a scary, angry way. Whereas the female one is more of a like arrogant, very confident and maybe boisterous pose there. Both of them look like people you don't want to mess with. We'll go with these leather straps on his bracer thingy. Thingy is a good word. Painting a lot of thingies. If you're not entirely sure what it is, I guess it's thingy. Wasabi Paste got to head off. Keep up the great work. Take care, all of you. Yeah, you too. Thanks for popping by and chatting. It's nice hearing from you. I'm mixing in a little bit of, what's it called? Wraithbone into the Mournfang Brown to highlight this leather further, making it stand out more. We want to concentrate on the upper edge, because that's what's gonna catch the most light. looking at the camera, the leather kind of looks like it blends together with his skin. It's a little different in real life, like it's a little more saturated in real life. But something we could do, I guess, is give it a warm glaze to further differentiate the brown leather and the brown skin tone. But we'll do that later in that case. These details are pretty small. I'll lean in a bit. Enjoy my scalp in the scalp cam. It's not a face cam, it's a scalp cam. Currently, at least. Whenever I need to color my hair again, I guess you can just tell me. Sorry for drifting out of focus there, or out of the camera shot, I mean. Highlight that leather. What's that, kitty? Not sure what she's saying, but we are having a good talk. My cat tends to communicate in the language of, and she often replies. She's a very nice kitty. Well-mannered. Next, I'm doing a little shadow in the middle of this cylinder of metal because I noticed that it kind of needed it. And with metal being reflective, you don't want to do the shadow completely at the bottom, since it's going to reflect some light from the wood or something. Physics stuff. Yeah. Guess it's soon time to paint that wood. Speaking about wood. Greg, any times Any tips for keeping up motivation when painting? Sometimes I can't face starting the paint job. Hi, as Gleason. How are you doing? Well, motivation while painting. There are several things you can do. Painting for events can help with motivation. Like when you need to get stuff painted, you often get stuff painted, but I guess it can get a bit stressful. Try and be nice to yourself and let yourself paint models you really like the look of. That tell you like find models that are like, damn, this model looks like a lot of fun to paint. And when you've got minis that feel like more of a chore to paint, try and mix it up a bit, where you treat yourself with a miniature you think is more fun. Like swap back and forth between chore and leisure painting, so to speak. If everything feels like a chore, I guess that's a different problem. Guess maybe you can try and change your mindset. Like, it depends what's disturbing your motivation of painting. If it's that you feel like you're not good enough, then somehow maybe you need to try and find like the joy of painting. And this is sounding like some hippie stuff, but like we mentioned earlier, painting should be fun. And the most important thing might not be to produce something that will be like the best thing you painted ever. Because that can give you some real like anxious feelings where you need to you feel like you need to do your best all the time, or you feel like you're not good enough. Like, there's always going to be people who are better than us, but try and be kind to yourself and try and appreciate the things that you do well. Sometimes, like, if it can also help to, and I know some people really don't like playing games with unpainted miniatures, but sometimes I find playing a game with a new miniature you bought can add to the excitement you've got for that miniature. And then after you have that game, you might be more hyped to paint it. That can be, I guess that's different, like between people, like it varies. Some people that might work for them, some people it might not work for. But if your opponent's fine with facing unpainted models, maybe that helps. And also, like, I don't really mind facing unpainted models when playing outside of tournaments, as long as I see that people are actually making progress, like putting an effort in. So if you have got like an unpainted crew that you're playing with, try and at least finish something in between every game or something. It will lead to a better, more fun and immersive experience for both players, I feel. And if you got like models that are a bit of a chore to paint, maybe there are ways that you can mix it up to make them feel fun. like, can you do a really crazy color scheme or theme or base, like where you can convey like a really strange, wacky theme? Maybe that can make a boring or tedious model more fun. Sometimes also, like a lot of big models with lots of different details can be really intimidating. So if they feel really intimidating, maybe look at the miniature and ask yourself, what should I paint first? And if it's hard to decide, maybe ask someone how they would do it. And you can make a little list of steps, so you know what to do when. And breaking a process into different steps can help you make that large, complicated model feel less of like less of like an intimidating, scary mountain to climb. When you got different steps you can take one at a time. And I guess it also helps to have, like, if you got one of those huge shores of a miniature to paint that you're really not feeling, do a little bit of work on it, then do a little bit of work on a miniature that you're feeling more comfortable or excited about, and then take turns. So you reward yourself a bit, and you also don't wear yourself out painting something that you really don't enjoy painting. And I guess you could also be like, do I have to paint this miniature? Can I just skip it? I mean, if it's the Intrepid Emissary, you really can't skip it though, right? I hope that was that like long ramble was a decent answer to your question. As Gleason, I figure out my scheme with one model and then build from there. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's kind of what I did with these Harpooners. Like, I figure out the scheme for the female one, and then I took pretty much the same colors, slightly different, and put them in slightly different places and just like repeated them a little bit on this model to make them look unified, but still quite different. So I'm grabbing a little bit of Citadel Gorthor Brown, yet another brown paint. You could also just have like dried bark or scorched brown, no, brine oxide, and add like some Rakarth flesh into it. And then you will get a similar color. Some painting lines to this, the wood of this harpoon gun to suggest wood texture. Great ideas, thanks. I'm glad I could be of some use. Thanks for the question, Greg. Oh, and if I'm butchering any of your nicknames, feel free to correct me. If you wanna I'll mix a little bit of Wraithbone into this Quarther brown paint to highlight the wood. And after highlighting the wood, I think we'll paint, there are like little bits of fabric underneath these leather bracers, and I thought we'd do them that light, the cold light gray that we used on the other harpooner. Taking that brush. Concentrating my highlights on the edges of the wood areas. Some of these highlights got a little too big, and I'm using some dark brown to break them up a little bit. Wood, please. Is it Kim? I'm working right now. I need to cut your claws, don't I? Pretty sharp. Kitty's claws are getting scary. Need to cut them. So how do you guys paint? When not streaming, I tend to sit by the computer anyway, and I'll listen to a podcast or an audiobook or maybe watch something on YouTube or something. Because I'm like, yeah, glued to my computer, kinda. currently re-listening to some Flippin' Words episodes because I think they did very good breakdowns on the Explorer Masters. Greg, my pinning desk is by my computer too. Yeah. I always get weirded out when people don't have it like that, but we all have our ways to do things. Yeah, Katie? You can do things whatever you want, however you want. So, using some Citadel rust gray mixed with a little bit of black pretty much makes the color look a bit like if you got the Dark Reaper color or the Fang, dark blue gray. I'm painting these little areas of cloth for the arm guards. I think there's supposed to be a little bit of cloth here at least. That's how I paint them. And then I guess we're pretty much finished with the miniature. Sans the base, but as I mentioned, I accidentally made 30 mil bases, so got some texture paint drying onto 40 mil bases right now. So Gleason, I like to have music playing from my computer, which is next to my paint area. Yeah, sounds relaxing. What kind of music do you like? I listen to a lot of rock like The Kills, The Dead Weather, Jack White, but also some 9 Inch Nails, PJ Harvey. Just name dropping favorite bands currently. Why not? Really like FK Twigs too. Okay, so now some pure rust gray. I'll go over that again. Some highlighting. This color will tie into his friend's trousers a little bit. Though on this miniature, we don't have a lot of it. Kids yelling outside. Don't know if you can hear them. Guess I could close the window. Shut up, little gremlins. There we go. And then we'll use some Tangrisian Gray, which I also forgot to bring out. Where are you? There you go. Oh, that's a Lester girl. It's a different one. I'm sorry. Where did I put that paint? Where did I put that paint? So many paints. Because I need to keep them a little bit better organized. Found it. A little bit of everything from Disturb to Rush to Sting to Metallic and Yes. Oh, cool. I did see Yes once when I was a kid at a concert because my dad really likes them. It's not really my cup of tea, but I can appreciate it. It's good music. They got pretty cool covers on their albums. I think maybe I was 14 or something at the time. So we're using Fernrisian Gray to highlight. And of course I put a little bit on his hand. Oops. And we'll mix a little bit of white into that and do a final little pass on that to brighten it up a little bit more. May need some black here to sort of outline these areas from each other because I'm not really liking what it looks like. They're sort of blending into a little mess of colors for my eyes. Like I don't tend to go over everything meticulously. Ugh, there's a word somewhere there. With black lining. But like, hey, maybe this is supposed to be that color too. Let's pretend it is. Like I try to do selective black lining where I feel like you need it to be. Multiple Man Army. Hi, welcome to the stream. Wow, that is an awesome figure. I just got here and that looks great. Thank you. I'm really glad you like it. Did you see the other Harpooner I painted? I think they'll make a pretty good, cool pair. Oops, Kitty's on the prowl again. So we got a little bit more than 15 minutes left of the stream, and the miniature is nearing completion, so that's nice. I'm not entirely sure yet what I will paint next. Either it might be the Tide color from this EVS box, or maybe Harata from this box, or we could go back and do the Old Guys Riding Gremlin from the Bayou box. So Gleason, I didn't think blacklining was a thing with the advent of washes. No, I guess. Well, I don't tend to wash every surface, so... And sometimes I feel like you need a little bit of blacklining to outline some things from each other still. Like, blacklining too much can make your miniature look very cartoony, which you may or may not want. Oh yeah, sorry, I missed that question about the miniatures. Yeah, they're Harpooners from the Explorers Society. They are of the keyword Apex and EVS. And I think now we'll do a little... we'll tint the leathers, like the leather belts a little bit. Like, they are a bit more different IRL than on my camera, but they still look just a little bit too similar to me. So I'm using a little bit of Vallejo Glaze Medium. You can use water. Sometimes I do, sometimes I use Glaze Medium. Glaze Medium can help glazes move a little bit more well. They flow better. Like, and the paint doesn't separate as much. So I mixed a little bit of the Mornfranc brown with a little bit of red paint and some Glaze Medium. I'm now going to put that on the leather straps to make them look a little bit more red, warm. Like we've got some almost red leather. You can do this in lots of thin layers, but like I want to get this done, and usually I'm not the super patient this kind of thing, so I'm tinting them, going for a rather strong mix to tint it. Maybe this is too much. Glaze Medium tastes pretty good, actually. Kind of like candy. So they don't call us the brush lickers for nothing. Vallejo Glaze Medium. Pretty tasty. I don't mind it at all. Playward, I've been thinking about doing Lady Jane crew with a lot of blacklining to try and get like a comic book look. Yeah, that should look cool, for sure. I'd love to see that. I like to paint very colorful, but like sort of in between realistic and a little cartoony. So you can see now that the leather straps they stand out a bit more from the skin now that we sort of filtered them with that little mix. I feel like maybe his teeth should be a tiny bit brighter. Are my hands too shaky for this today? Maybe I'll put a tiny white highlight on the nose tip there. There we go. I like that. Glaze Medium does take a while, like the color dries a bit slower with Glaze Medium, I find. So it's shiny because it's still wet. And if it turns out to be shiny even when it's dry, we can just dull that down a bit with some varnish later. I tend to varnish my models because I hate it when color flakes off. And the varnish, varnish alters the look of your paints a little, so it can be a little scary to do it. Got outside of the camera there. I'm sorry. It's harder than you might think. I think we're going to use that red filter, put a little bit of that on his lower lip. Give a little bit of warmth. Maybe here around the cheeks and nose. Shiny shaved head. So the idea for bases was to have this looks a little messy now because it's not done. And it's also the wrong size because whoopsie. But to have this sort of sad looking beach. But we'll see if maybe he's too colorful to be on a sad beach. But I didn't want it to be tropical looking. So this is what I kind of envisioned the bases looking like, but with maybe a tiny bit of white on those waves. What do you think? Do you like this? God, it's been a while since I've been to shore. I've bathed from cliffs this summer. But something like that could be a pretty cool base. Standing by the shoreline. It's going to look much better when we tidy it up like this with the black paint. I really like black for base rims. I think it's some people like to put the faction color on their base rims, and I think that's cute, but it's often done with strong of a color, so it really distracts from your mini's paint job, and it can really destroy the balance of, like, if you want to do that, sure, fine, but it can really mess up the color balance of your miniature. You got a really bright base. So I think more subdued colors work better. So I tend to go for black, or sometimes like beige or dark brown or dark gray. It's just my preference. But this is kind of what I envisioned the turning tide spaces looking like. Maybe I'll add some detail to the bigger one. Light gray or off-white, like pallid witch flesh for the sand. Do you think the sand is too dark, maybe? I made a Google for depressing beaches, because I wanted to look depressing, but then now this guy's pretty colorful. So we'll see. Got a new follower, but I don't see the name. It's just a black square. Luckily, I have Kim to help me out with that. But yeah, this miniature is pretty much done. And next time we'll paint something else. And maybe, hopefully, I will have them based and ready soon. Made a bit of a mistake there with the base size. They came with the right base size, but I just mixed the bases out and accidentally did these beach bases for 130s. Havoc 91 was the newest follower. Thank you. And welcome to this awesome channel. So this stream will be ending in about 5 minutes. And we have finished our second harpooner, which we call Timothy for now. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. In 1.5 hours, you'll get to see haunted miniatures painting on this channel. So if you want to see more weird painting, tune in 1.5 hours and hang out and see what awesome stuff that haunted miniatures is going to paint. Thanks, Greg. Glad you think so. Also, if you don't have anything else to do between now and then, I will be streaming Psychonauts 2 on my own channel, which is twitch.tv/Sybhel, which is SYBHEL. So it'll be my first time playing Psychonauts 2, and I think it sounds like a pretty amazing game. So if you don't have anything else to do between now and Haunted Miniatures' stream, maybe pop by. I'll be starting very soon. If you want to see more of my work, you can come look at Instagram.com/sybarite_painting. And that's also the name of my YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com. Is it youtube.com .c? No, help me out here. There's a C in there somewhere. youtube.com/c/sybarite_painting. Thank you, Ken. I forgot where that C was gonna go. But yeah, thanks. We'll be wrapping this stream up, so catch you later. Bye.